Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. There's quite a few things to get into. I've not really managed to do a huge amount over the course of the week, but that's why we're here now. So, a few things to talk about now, maybe some more things to talk about later, who knows, but for right now, let's get into it. So, Shakur Stevenson is officially vetoing any interviewers for mentioning Tank Davis to him in interviews, asking about fights, asking about what he does good, what he doesn't do, etc, etc. He's on a tip right now of that guy is not in my radar, he's not on my mind, I've got no interest, he doesn't want to fight. If I keep talking about him, his fans are just going to say that I'm just trying to clout chase off of him. If he's not going to fight me, if he's not going to stick around, there's no interest there, I don't want to talk about him. So he's telling interviewers respectfully, as soon as they start talking about Tank, next question. And I respect it, but ultimately there's only so much you can talk about a fight you know ain't gonna happen. Bear in mind, I was one of the only people that told you guys from, when was it? It was last year? I think possibly it might have even been late 2023. But I was telling you guys, Tank Davis ain't gonna fight Shakur. The same way I said to you guys, he won't fight Devin Haney and the rest, like the Teofimos and all of that. And it's funny because when I was saying that Devin Haney would beat Tank Davis, they was trying to laugh. They was like, oh, you're just a Haney lover, or yeah, stick to the casual tag and all of that stuff. And then lo and behold, what happened? Haney was calling him out at 135, moves to 140, moves to now 147. Tank didn't want to know. Now obviously I don't expect him to want to know at 140, 142, 145, 147, anywhere up there, but ultimately there was the chance to do it at 135 when Haney was killing himself to make the weight. Would have been the perfect time to do it, and the guy was undisputed as well. And they decided to go over, oh well, what does he draw, who knows him, blah blah blah, doing all those tactics just to avoid the fight and avoid the fight happening. Then you got Shakur, who came from 126, 130, now is at 135, making it nice and comfortable, doesn't hit hard as far as everyone's concerned, you know. But there's another guy, Tank, like who he fought, what's he done to deserve the shot? Oh, but look at him in his last fight, he looked bad, didn't he? Very rare, like, but these are the guys you just want me to fight just so that you can see me lose and all of that stuff. So I respect it on Shakur Stevenson's part. Yep, don't mention my name with his. I'm not interested. On to bigger and better. Whoever else will fight me, come fight me. Now, the only thing that I would say that I think was a bit of a misstep was the allowing Lamont Roach to go and speak with PBC and then get another fight in with PBC with Isaac Cruz, moving up yet again from 135 to 140. Because if you would have fought Lamont or put in some work to try and get Lamont in the ring for the end of this year, even though I know that I think the Teofimo Lopez chat is supposed to be happening for like January, February, and I guess I don't know how readily Shakur can fight, you know, each year with the hand issues, how much rest and recuperation the hands need per fight. But surely if you could have got the Lamont Roach thing done from like July, August, maybe the start of September, you might still be able to do sort of, you know, a February, March situation. But again, I don't know about the hands, but it would have been good if you get Lamont Roach in the ring and then you end up beating him like comprehensively, then it just makes things look even worse for Tank. But now obviously you got Lamont, PBC. Well, we'll talk about that in another section, but yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm respecting what Shakur is doing with regard to just with regards to talking about Tank Davis and, you know, the refusal to address him or anyone associated to him moving forward in interviews and talks, I'm all for it. So yeah, happy that that's out of the way, and he can at least now try and move on to the rest of the guys in the division, because I'm sure the next one up will probably be Andy Cruz, but we'll talk about that another time. Speaking of Lamont Roach and Cruz, their fight has been announced for the 6th of December. I'm assuming it's going to be a Prime Video card. I'm also assuming it's going to be pay-per-view on Prime. It's a good fight. I mean, it's not pay-per-view worthy, but it's a good fight. The weird thing is I actually didn't, even though I saw the press conference yesterday, I didn't realize it was its own card. I thought they was doing basically like the press conference almost like the co-main of another card. I didn't see it from the very start, so I didn't actually realize that it was its own thing, but I had to check it out a little bit earlier today, and yeah, it's its own event. No undercard has been spoken about for it yet, which is fine. We're a couple months out. I would like to think that the undercard fighters get a good amount of time to, you know, prepare and train and make weight if they've got to. But yeah, I mean, I guess the play here is twofold. You either, if you can get Cruz to beat Lamont Roach, especially up, even though you could say, Lamont seemed to say, well, you know, I'm a 130 guy and I've went up to 140 to fight this guy. Maybe that's a way you can explain the loss, but then it kind of protects Tank Davis a little bit, because if Cruz beats Lamont Roach, well, Davis beat Cruz, and Davis also beat Rowley, who Cruz beat afterwards as well. And now Rowley is a champion at the weight above that, for whatever that's worth. It kind of keeps Tank's reputation and his record intact. And being that this is a PBC show, I've got almost no doubt whatsoever that the plan is to get Lamont Roach beat. And if Cruz can't beat him on score, if he can't beat him by knockout, I think the scorecards will be heavily weighted in his favor, just due to the fact of the volume of punches he does throw during a fight and the constant come forward aggression. I know that some people will say, oh, well, you know, Lamont Roach might be in problems because he's not really a big puncher, and, you know, he's moving up, and Cruz has never been stopped, and he's got a hard head and he can take the shots and that. Look, I actually think that Lamont Roach is a much bigger puncher than he's given credit for. I know he doesn't have a huge amount of knockouts on his record, but I've seen him in enough fights hurt guys, wobble guys, and stagger them. Even Tank Davis in the last fight, to be fair, to know that he's got some crack. And I don't know the reasons why he was unable to get so many of his other opponents out of there. But, you know, ultimately, on this particular occasion, he could have enough opportunities with someone that's going to come forward, not going to try and backpedal, that's going to constantly be on him throughout the entire fight. And if that's the case, he may be able to find the openings. Now, the other side of that could be that him having to throw heavy shots from the first round through to whenever the fight lasts, all the way to the 12th, could potentially tire him out. It could gas him out. He might have to exert more energy than he's used to because of the constant come forward pressure, but he might thrive under it. So I guess we kind of got to wait and see there. But look, to me, the ploy is definitely trying to basically protect Tank's record, and I think that by hook or by crook, this could be one of those scenarios that if Lamont Roach doesn't win every round clear on a Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez type flex, like, that could be another L in the column for him. But that being said, look, I'm looking forward to the fight. It won't be as much over here as it is in the States. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure it will be pay-per-view. But the last one, which was Pacquiao and Barrios, I think it was only $16.99 over here. I think I was prepared to pay that. So this one, you know, I do the same. Funny enough, yeah, that's what I thought it was. I thought that Pacquiao and Romero and Rolly Romero was going to be the headline, and this was supposed to be like the chief support to that. That's what I was initially thinking, but apparently that fight has now moved to January, which is interesting. I'm sure that a lot of people ain't going to be happy having to skip out on Christmas and New Year festivities to be in a training camp, but as the French say, c'est la vie. I guess tying it again to Tank Davis opponents. Now this one isn't actually anything to do with Tank, but it's just funny that obviously it's another previous opponent of his. But Ryan Garcia has been out recently. I think he was on the what was it, Ring Talk, or Inside the Ring, or whatever it is, the thing that Max Kellerman does on the Ring Magazine platform. I think he was on there at the time, and he was saying basically that he doesn't believe like Gennady Golovkin fought any like proper names outside of Canelo, you know, for him to be classed as a, you know, as a Hall of Famer kind of thing, for him to get into the Hall of Fame, you know. And look, I'm not the most extensive on GGG's career. I came to sort of to the knowledge of him quite late. I think like a lot of people did. You know, I can't remember the very first fight of his I watched, but you know, he didn't really enter my consciousness until the well, I guess it was the Kell Brook fight. I knew who he was like before then, but it was kind of the Kell Brook fight and then the Danny Jacobs fight. Those were kind of like where my sort of proper integration of Triple G came in. So I can't speak a huge amount on what he did prior to that, but what I do know is that he was quite heavily avoided by several people, you know, high profile boxers in the 160 division. He did spend a bit too much time trying to call out Floyd Mayweather, and even said that he would meet him, I think, in a catch weight of like 154 or 157 pounds or something like that, as Floyd did do a couple of, you know, 154, 152, 156 weight fights prior to that. He also, you know, I can confirm that he definitely did dodge the Andre Ward. I think at one point he said he would take Ward at 168, and I think at one time Ward had agreed to it. Then the team, something happened with the team, and then Ward had his legal issues. Then obviously went up to 175, and I think Ward said, look, I'm prepared to kind of stay or get back down to 168 for this fight. And then Golovkin decided that he didn't want to at that point. Now, one thing I would also say is, we can say that, look, we had Canelo weight, but Canelo wasn't fighting officially at 160 pounds. He was fighting just above 154, as he didn't really, I guess, feel he was a full-fledged 160. And, you know, you have to make a name for yourself, and you have to, you definitely have to, like, you know, drum up interest and associate and attach your name to other high profile stars, especially if you're not necessarily a big name to the wider audience yourself. But even though I guess you could say that technically he was a middleweight at the time, Canelo wasn't fighting very many fights at 160 pounds. I don't think he fought any at the particular time at the start of when Golovkin started calling them out. So that is potentially another blemish on his record, in the sense that the majority of your most successful fights, or the fights where people kind of look at you in the best possible light, were fights where you were fighting noticeably smaller guys, or guys coming up from, you know, from lower divisions. Now, part of that, obviously, again, the 160s wouldn't face him. I get that, but you know, calling out Canelo, who was, you know, fighting at Canelo weight at the time, you know, obviously the big fight with Kell Brook, you know, blown up 147 pounder, that wasn't Golovkin's fault. I ain't gonna really blame him. That was Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook, and to a lesser extent Chris Eubank Jr., or maybe to an exact a similar extent, who knows. But then also like the Floyd Mayweather, I get it, it's a big name, but Floyd is never a 160 pounder, so calling him out made no sense. But then, you know, when you're offered fights at a heavier weight, of a weight of 168, which should be theoretically a lot easier for you to make and more comfortable, you've rejected those, and you rejected fights with guys, you know, of a higher weight class than you as well. And I think there was one period, if I remember correctly, Triple G did turn down a fight with Demetrius Andrade. Andrade subsequently turned down a return afterwards, you know, and then said, "Oh well, I'll do other things." Or wait, did he? I can't remember if Andrade. No, I think Andrade actually called for the fight. No, my bad. No, Andrade never turned down the Golovkin fight. Andrade wanted to fight Golovkin, and Golovkin turned it down to fight. I can't remember who it was that he wanted to. He decided to fight. It might have been when he fought Sergey Derevianchenko or Steve Rolls, or one of those guys. Now Steve Rolls, again, another smaller guy that kind of was brought up. He was a 154 guy initially, went up to 160 to face him. So now again, that's towards the back end of Golovkin's career. I can't talk about when he was in his killer era. I'm not sure. I can't really. I'd have to go back and watch all of those fights, but obviously I know that he was a very, very dangerous 160. But just like with everyone else, there was a lot of politicking that went on. So while I won't wholeheartedly agree with Ryan Garcia, and you know, it's hard for me to agree with someone like Ryan, but just being objective with the you know, with the information that's kind of been given, I definitely have to say that I can see where he would have an argument to say, I don't believe that his resume would be strong enough to support the claim of him being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Maybe a second ballot or a third, that could possibly be something you look at. But then you look at the record, which I think it was like 20, did he have something like 24 title defenses across his career, and like a 21 fight knockout streak or something like that as well, fighting, I guess, top 10 level opposition within the ranking bodies or something like that. I can't remember the exact stats because, again, I'm not super well versed on Triple G's actual career, but I do know there are some points in there. And a lot of people do contend that he won that first Canelo fight that was called a draw. Now, me, controversially, I've always said no, I thought that Canelo won the fight, but I did only have it by 1 point. I had it 115, 114 to Canelo. So, you know, for someone who believes it to be something other than that, I can't really complain or argue too much with them. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. But that being said, I do think he belongs in the Hall of Fame, in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and I have no issue with him being first ballot with everyone. But with Ryan Garcia's comments, I felt, all right, let me have a look at it. Let me really think about sort of just my own perception of Triple G. And I think maybe my perception might be quite similar to his, in the sense that I don't know his entire career, but there wasn't a huge amount of names like that anyone really recognizes before a certain point, and then at that certain point there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of things that you can maybe point to. So look, with that being said, I'm happy for him to get drafted and to get his Hall of Fame ring and everything, but what Ryan said, I guess, isn't as wild a take as maybe some people would have believed in the moment. Okay, look, I'm sure there's a lot more that maybe could go into, and we might do over the weekend, but I'll leave it there for now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and also hit that hype button if it does anything. Greatly appreciate. Views on the videos have been down over the last couple of weeks, partly my fault, I know, but yeah, it would be nice if we could get those views sort of back up to normal or maybe even better than where they've been previously. So I appreciate you all for watching. Don't forget, as I said, to like, subscribe and share. But for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.